Hey, y'all, and welcome to Roundtable Talk with Tay and May,
where we aspire to show you no matter what you look like,
whether you're rocking jeans and Jordans or pearls and heels,
no matter what you've done or what you may still be struggling with,
addiction, promiscuity, drinking, depression, whatever. There is a seat in the kingdom for you. So come on in. We invite you to have a seat at the table as we do real talk, kingdom style. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of y'all. Episode 10. Can y'all believe it? It's episode 10 of Roundtable Talk with Tay
and May. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing?
Yes, happy Friday. So, you guys, if you did not see the post, if you did not get a chance to check out the flyer beforehand, as you can see, we have the fellows with us here again for part 3 of Men Matter. So we'll just quick go around and let you guys introduce yourselves, and then we're gonna hop right into it. So Rashai, I guess you can go first. You're first on my screen. I don't know.
Hello, everybody. Oh, first, let me say hello to Miss Tay, Miss May. Thank you. It's a pleasure from y'all ladies having me on. I like to say hello to everybody. My name is Rashad B. Rashad Brockington, but I like to go by Rashad B.
Chris, you're up next.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I apologize. So, hi, everybody. My name is Christopher Hollinshead. Tay, May, thank you very much for letting me be a part of this. Rashad, Dennis, I appreciate the invite, and I'm looking forward to the conversation we have tonight.
Yes, and I'm Mr. D. Best Halliger, or Dennis. And thanks again for having me on, Jate and Miss May. And it's good to see you guys, Rashai and Chris. It's good to have you on.
Yeah, well, again, we thank you guys. This has really been decent. It's really been decent. I know I'm looking forward to tonight to see the gems you fellas drop on us yet again. The viewers have been loving it. Thank you guys to the viewers who have been tuning in. Thank you for all the tremendous feedback that we have been getting. And yeah, so I do believe Mr. D-Best, you're gonna jump us off, right?
No, absolutely. First, you know, I'd like to start with saying, I've been just thinking throughout the course of the week that with this being the talk about men for men, that it's time for men to get their how can I say it? Like, take back their families, right? The help the balance with the home. Um, um, like, I was thinking about the prodigal son and relating that story to what's going on in today's time. Um, like how men have been raised up when we were young, and then to venture out into the streets, um, and getting caught up in the streets, whatever it may be. Um, then some of us, um, go down the wrong paths, and things go left. When a person um, finds ourselves in a dead end situation, and it gets dark, and they've had enough, um, and then they start looking for a way out, um, and begin to see that there was once uh, better days, once a, a long ago, um, and you know they turn back around. They're looking for help, um, and when finding that help, um, you know, um, sometimes, a lot of times, in that place of desperation, prayers, foxhole prayers, a lot of times, are said, right? And as that help starts to come along, um, we begin to see that God intervenes as those steps begin to take place and the help manifests. Um, we learn that God never went astray. We went astray from the time we were young and learning about God and um, His ways. Then we chose our own way and our own path. Our own path got us those dark dead ends, and we were still protected. And then when we turned around and we got sick of the path that we chose and the suffering, when we wanted out, God welcomed us back with open arms, like the prodigal son when he chose to take his inheritance and spend it the way he did, recklessly, wasted, and found himself, at his rock bottom, right? Um, but more towards what I opened with, about men taking back their place. Um, you know, if men have children, if they don't have children, if they have a girlfriend or a wife, and if they don't, but still let let women see the man standing up, getting themselves together. The children that are around the men, grooming themselves, getting ready for work, so that the kids see, wow, when I get older, I want to get myself together like my dad is, and the dad putting um their foot down and having them rules set, and the kids saying, yeah, nah, my dad said, or things um coming from a woman, and she's saying, I have to run things by my boyfriend, or I have to run things by my husband, because the man is taking back his place as head, the protector, the provider, and these things are important. These things are important, you know, um, to get back in the home and balance it out. And so I'm gonna stop right there, and let's hear from the panel.
So I like how you opened up with about the prodigal son, because like you said, sometimes when we are given choices, sometimes it takes for you to hit rock bottom so that you can return back home. And the good thing about the grace of God is because he'll welcome you back with open arms. So no matter what you've done, just like we say in our entrance, no matter what your background is, if you feel that you're too far gone, you're never too far gone, because he forgives you no matter what. So it's just basically you taking charge of your own life and knowing who to go to for the help that you need. But as a man, what Mr. D. Best is basically saying is, as a man, you should take charge, because your whole family basically is looking up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. As the head of your household, especially when you, I mean, not only when you have children, and a wife, of course, but as a man, we're obligated almost to provide for our families. That's what is looked up upon, and people look to you for answers for the most part. And then it's hard to come back from a place when you kind of jeopardize that situation, right? And then you got to come back in and almost necessarily you got to rebuild things and get back to that place to be respected. Because unfortunately, at least I'll speak for myself. I've made some bad decisions, and I put myself in a certain scenario where it was hard for people to put their trust back in me, because there was numerous times that I've done wrong, got myself back together, was doing right. People trusted in me. That was the first time around, right? Now I repeated the process again, messed it all up, did bad, tried to build it back up. They said, "Oh, we're a little iffy this time," but again, I got some trust back. Did it again. So then the pattern just started to repeat itself. So it got to a certain point where people were like, "Okay, you're doing good, but we still it doesn't we don't know," right? And then for me personally, that was hard because I was still stuck in the old behavior patterns where I was like, okay, well, I'm doing good now. I earned the trust, because that's what happened all the previous times, right? And you kind of almost expect it. And through a lot of self work, self development, I came to realize that I was always doing things before for other people, if that makes sense, right? I was doing
Yeah.
it for my daughter. I was doing it for my wife, my family, some of my friends. I wanted them to accept me again, right? But the problem with that is when you live with that expectation, or you're looking for that validation to come from another individual, if you don't receive it, then that almost gives you an excuse to go back into the old behavior that you were in before. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
So something that I really had to truly comprehend was the acceptance of myself, right? Loving myself and wanting to do better for myself. And I came to that realization because the byproduct of loving myself and being the best me that I can be, and being satisfied and joyous with who I am as an individual, I can then, as a byproduct, be a better father, a better husband, a better friend, a better employee all around, just by trying to be the best me rather than trying to be the best person that I want you to think that I am, right? Rather than trying to do it for somebody else. Because when that individual, if you burnt that bridge, say to the ground, right, you may never get the validation or the acceptance that you're striving for. And that can, if that's what you're working so hard towards, if it's something that's unachievable, then you stop working towards it because you're not getting where you want to go. But when where you want to go is to be the best person that you can possibly be, right? Then you start to get a lot happier because you're happy with who you are. You're happier with the things that you're doing. And, we're an image of God, right? So I look at it in the sense that if I'm happy with who I am, if I have peace with who I am, and I was created in the eyes of God, then I must be doing right with God, right? If I can go to sleep at night and be content with the actions that I'm taking throughout my life and the things that I'm doing to other individuals, if I can rest my head on that pillow and be content with it, then I'm content with my creator as well. Because there was times when there was actions that I was doing and I would lay in bed at night when I'm the only person that's staring up at the ceiling, right? And I wouldn't feel good about some of the things that I did, you know? And that, to me, that those moments, those are the one-on-one moments with God, in my opinion, right? So now when I can lay down at night, and maybe there were some hard decisions that I had to make didn't feel at the time like they were the right decision. But if I can lay down at night and I feel, when I'm in that moment and it's just him and I, then I can be content. And I say, okay, well, then I must be on the right path, and I can sleep now and know that things are going to be better. So that's how I take on it.
I like definitely. I felt what both of y'all was saying. Both of y'all touched on some very, deep, deep topics right there. You know, I was sitting back like just saying like how listen to y'all, and getting like with the like, he was saying far as like with the man taking the lead back. And Chris, you was saying like, not getting the validations from people, how easy it is to fall back. And I'm just thinking back like how like the men matter. Like me and my dad don't have the best relationship or whatever, but one thing I can say, like all my, my values that I got, he installed in me since young, like 11 years old, had me working. You know what I mean? He always had like a stand or something. So always had me working. And I tell him, if he ever watch this in here, I tell him like, thank you. You know what I mean? You got me working when all my friends was playing. He taught me about, you always take off. You had a family day. This time for the family. And up until this day, what I'm saying is all what he has stored in me, it stick with me to this day. The family day, to work hard, what else? How to deal with relationships, how you even with your kids. And right now, like I have two older sons, and he was a kid raising a kid. So, we don't have a book with how to raise a kid, you know what I mean? And he was a teen parent, and I end up falling to the same shoes being a teen parent, you know. And and like quarter sort of went through a little bit. I go through with my oldest son. I go through stuff with all of them. You know what I mean? Because you're a parent, you're going to have them moments. But yeah, like men matter really by being around. Installing them values. You know what I mean, into other men because you need that figure to lead you out. That's why, and even my wife said, because even at some moments, she's like, "You don't talk to your dad," and I'm like, "No, we didn't talk." But she'd be like, "I notice everything you tell me you learned. You always say, I learned that from my dad told me this, my dad told me that." So whether he know or not, he definitely always gonna be a part of me, no matter how we got time to get our relationship better. I pray that we do, you know what I mean? But just that really men matter because the old men, the young men, you know what I mean? Like we all do. We all got a part to play. There's a role for all of us, you know what I mean? No one bigger than no one smaller than no one because everybody got a role to play. Like even with like teaching a young man, take the trash out. The older one, his role is to teach him, and the younger one is to take it out. It's the same. There's no one bigger than better than no one. You know what I mean? Like it's the same. I'm just using it as an example. You know what I mean? Like it's just but we really do need to be accountable, step up. And I feel as though and I was thinking too, we get some younger guys to come speak so we can hear their point of view too. You know what I mean? Because we are older ones right here. You know what I mean? And I believe that is our duty to guide them out. You know what I mean? We all I can say that all three of us because I know Chris and Dennis very well. And Chris is my mentor. Like Chris younger than me. You know what I mean? And I say that because man, we sometimes have ego and I don't have that. I dropped that today with that closing mind, whatever. I learned so much from that boy, and I'm being honest. You know what I mean? I learned from you too, Dennis. I learned from what I mean. It's like I open my brain up, and I say all this to say on here, like go ahead and get under someone wing that doing right. So any brothers, older, younger, watching, hearing this, you know what I mean? Someone doing right. Don't look at it like, "Oh, I can't learn from him," because think about it. We want to get on this computer or something. We got to learn from a younger one now to 10. They know how to work it better than us. Like so. It just men matter, and I think God got us up here for a reason. The call back, like, come on, we all spiritual guys. You know what I mean? Like, believe in a higher power, and ladies too. Like, it's bigger than us being right here. So, yeah, that men matter, and then I'm happy that I can be, held accountable again. You know what I mean? to stand up and do the right thing and pass on Jews that, because it's not right. They say the best way to keep it is by giving it away. So if you get, some type of Jews and keep it and don't pass it on, it's not right. You know what I mean? Like, it's not right at all. Best way to keep it by giving it away. It was freely given. You know what I mean? Like, I get knowledge from my guy all the time, and not put his business out. He paid for a lot of it, but he don't mind on giving it. You know what I mean? I say all that to say, like, anybody that's watching is like, and I'm here. You could hit me up or whatever if y'all ever want to come along. We love doing this. It ain't about no money right here. This is all, heart filled, soul filled, and, like, you know what I mean. We come straight from work, all three of us. And I know the ladies, they be busy doing what they doing. Like, you know what I mean. We all get on here. It's ain't about no money. This is really, soul, like, searching right now. And Dennis always tell me, like, speak about, you're Muslim, and I'm here to say, like, I love all, I believe in all books, love all, all, not no one, you know what I mean? I ain't on no bias. I want to get back and save. Just like I want my soul saved. I want everyone see everyone saved. Yeah, it's like I'm giving up both, like, you know what I mean? Cause I know we spoke on God and we spoke on, being that man matter, you know what I mean?
All right. Yeah, Rashad, you touched on a lot of good things, man. I appreciate the fact that you said a bunch of the things that you said, man. One thing I wanted to touch on is just the simple fact that there's a lot of, what do I say, social expectancy, almost, right, of what a typical man is supposed to be, right? And I feel like that kind of, it messes up a lot of the morals that the young men especially now are having nowadays. And I don't want to just point out the young. I mean, every man suffers from some of this. You see it on the news, how you're supposed to act. You see it in TVs. You see it in the movies, the dude with the big muscles saving the women. It's just you,
Mhm.
and you get this falsified reality of what you're supposed to do. And then when you can't live up to this unobtainable reality, because not everybody's jacked and is saving a plane from crashing and saving the day, and and then gets the beautiful woman at the end of the day. That's not the way normal life works, right? So when you can't live up to that, it ends up bringing you down. And then I feel like that's why a lot of dudes act out. Or the flip side of that coin is even worse, in my opinion. That's where, and I'll try to tie two topics in with this. I believe that the world simply needs, to keep it as simplistic as I can, more love, right? More love. But now let's look at it like this now. In today's society, when it comes to love, who does society make it out is capable of loving more, right? I feel that they make it out that the women are more emotional. They're able to love more, right? Which naturally creates this weird divide where it's almost like, if you're going around spreading love, like Rashad, you know me, Dennis, you know me well enough. I give hugs to all my friends. I tell my male friends that I love them. I tell my wife that I love her in front of my male friends. I
As
spread
you
love,
should, brother.
right? I spread love. But now, if you guys can relate to this, great. I have plenty of friends that will not even tell. Listen, they'll whisper, "I love you," if they do it at all, when they're talking to their significant other on the phone, just so that their friends don't hear them. Why is that? Because they have this distorted reality that makes them soft, right? Because society makes it out as if that, the man got to always be tough. The man can't cry. The man has to do this. The man has to do that. And you get, and it's overwhelming when you try to live up to these standards that society puts forth for a man. And I don't say this as just men get it to women. Trust me, I understand you guys get a whole different set of expectations in society, and I understand that, right? But this topic is the men matter, so that's the only reason I'm going in on this. Right? But it gets overbearing, right? And then what do you do? What happens? What do we all do mainly, honestly? When things get overwhelming, we tend to act out or slack off or whatever the case may be. And that's what I feel like the society now, you have to, especially with social media in the day we live in, it's social media is a blessing and a curse. If you use it for your benefit, then it can be a blessing. If you just use it to scroll around and compare yourself to other people, and you know it's destructive. You know, I mean, it literally causes mental health in people. There's plenty of studies that show that just simple scrolling all over social media causes mental health in people, depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts. It's insane, right? But when you're living, trying to live up to these expectations that the world is putting forth to you, what happened to the fundamental expectations, right? That has been in scripture since day one. You know what I mean? It's as simple as we've had the outline forever, right? In scripture, we've had the outline, much hasn't changed. And my whole consensus of it is it seems that, you know, love, right? It all boils back down to love. At least for me personally, that's how I approach it. Love everyone that you come in contact with. Tay, you said something last night that I had meant to comment on when you said it, but I forgot. But I remember it now. It's
Yeah,
be
brother.
careful what you say to people, right? Rashad, you've heard me say it a million times. Because what you say is either going to be a seed that can possibly lead to someone's success or it can lead to somebody's failure, right? So you always need to watch out what you say. And I take that to heart every day that I live. I make sure that no matter any individual that I come in contact with, I make sure that I leave a word of kindness, some love, some gratitude, some thankful. It's just flat out kindness. I'm not going to say things. If I got something negative to say or if I'm feeling some type of way, I won't say it at all. Or I'll force myself to spin it and say something kind because you never know what you're planting, right? You can plant a seed that can grow into somebody's complete downfall. You can plant a seed that can grow into somebody's complete success. And if you take
My
that
man.
serious, then you can start to change lives just by doing that. Simple smiles when you see people rather than being all stiff in the face and tight for no reason, right? Just because you're having a bad day, now you want to, you know, we sometimes feel the need to spread it to everybody else. We want everybody else to know we're having a bad day, right? We walk around with a grouchy face, we're acting sometimes, oh, what's up with you all, man? Today's shit, right? And you feel the need to almost spread it. But why not spread some positivity? Like if somebody else is in that mood, if you hit them with a smile, right? Again, that could be that seed that changes their entire day rather than they're acting sour and you respond back to them in a sour mood. And now you've just added some more fuel to their already sour fire. And then it just grows into more rather than try to nip it immediately and spread some positivity.
Yep. Hey
Yep.
Chris, you dropped a lot of heavy information, man. And yo, I like that. Um you know, I gotta go off of some things that you just said, Chris, and what Rashad just said too. Like it's okay to give another man a compliment. Like, you know, I like that shirt. I like those sneaks. I like how you carry yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because what if he wasn't always like that and he needs to know that um, you know, whatever process he's on, the path that he's on, it's making progress and it's working, you know? Um because like maybe his past was just beating him up so bad, you know, and he's still so insecure. I mean, that's a lot like me, you know. Um and then I'm making sure that whoever I'm around today are like positive, you know, and their hearts are in the right place. You know, I had to disconnect from those I used to hang around. You know what I mean? Um, you know, those um that I'm around today can all live by this saying right here that I'm not where I want to be, um, but I'm not who I used to be either. You know, I'm making progress, and I appreciate where I'm at today because of gratitude. You
Mm.
know, life's lessons um, gave me the experience to be where I'm at today. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Um, I, we were talking about gratitude with yesterday, and it's like when we're able to go through something, then we're able to see the gratitude side of things a lot clearer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, once a person goes through something, they can then appreciate coming through the storm and saying, "Wow, I will less likely take things for granted and appreciate." You know what I mean? My mom and dad weren't raised with both parents in the house, but being that me and my sister had my mom and dad in the house, they did everything they could um, to provide, right? Because they live by, we're going to do better than we were brought up. Me and my sister being young didn't understand what they meant. We were just looking outside at other kids and how they were uh, dressed and what they had. And but then later on in life, I learned to appreciate what my mom and dad were about, like making sure our needs were met, right? And then I let go of the resentments and the finger pointing because I was like, in all actuality, they were better parents than I was to my own children.
Mm.
And that's just getting real honest.
Mm-hmm.
But as I'm doing better for myself, things are getting better for me and mine. And then the help comes along because I'm helping myself. You know, how can help step in if I'm not willing to help myself, you know? But that's when genuine people come around and I have real friends like you guys right on this panel right here, the round table, you know, and we all get invited because we see how our spirit speaks for ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, Chris, Rashai, you know, I was drawn to how you guys carry yourself before I heard you guys speak.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, saying hi to each other, it was just like, hey, you know, there was a lot of positivity in that energy. You know, we talked about that too yesterday, right? That
Mm-hmm.
energy and the flow, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um,
Yeah.
which goes a long way, you know. Man, um, so it's one man helping another, you know, just like they say in recovery. It's one helping another and it's without parallel, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You
Absolutely,
know,
man.
Y'all touched on so much stuff, and I ain't gonna lie, I've been writing notes, right? So going back, but Dennis, when you first started, you used the word balance, right? And then so I thought about how, remember how when I first explained the vision, right, that I saw as far as men, and that's pretty much what it was. Like, the world is the way that it is because there's an imbalance, right? Like, men, like you said, Chris, not just in the families and things like that, but literally that's how God intended to be, for men to be the leaders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because um that's not always the case, so there's this imbalance. But it's funny, Chris, because you wasn't even here episode 1, but I said the same thing, and I'm not a man, so I can only kind of go off what I observe, what it looks like, and what I believe I heard when I was given a vision. But that expectation thing, right? That
Mm-hmm.
expectation, and how we all have expectations placed on us. But I think for y'all, and it sounds like it's safe to say, I think it's a little more, and rightfully so. But like you said, sometimes in an unfair sense, if that makes sense. And so, not just the expectations, but then a lot of men, right, have not been programmed, right, to take that place when you become an adult, right? Because Chris, even if it's not the false picture of what a man is like, right? Whether it's the muscles, or you don't cry and you be strong and you be tough, or a lot of men aren't taught to be a man. This is how you be the man, right? And that consists of what? Oh, to be the man, you have a lot of women. To be the man, you got a lot of money, and not the right way, right? And that comes from an early age, right? And so now you're programmed wrong, right? And we had this conversation from a very early age. Is sad because, like, so I'll use the example of sex, right? And not being promiscuous, right? So little girls, teenagers, right? You're told the right way, you're valuable, you're precious, you don't give your body. And that's very true, right? Or you're told, don't be fast, don't be out there running around with boys. Men are told, right? Either they're not told, don't go out there and be fast and be hot in the pants and all the stuff we were told, right? Or they're told, you go out and get it, and man, you get as much as you can at a very dysfunctional, corrupt age. Like, I've heard men tell me, like, no, I'm for real. Like, I've heard men tell me stories that were scary. Like, when I was 10 years old, I had my older cousin, like, I was hanging out with him and his friends, and he had, and I'm like, you were 10. I've heard that story a lot, and I'm like, that was not cool. And so, again, how y'all were almost set up, and so now you're men, and it's like, well, you should know better, but you only know what you're shown. You only know now. Of course, we all know right from wrong once we hit a certain age, right? And so now it is our responsibility to do better, right? But you do better once you know better. So now it's our responsibility, because not just men to, but now you got to be reprogrammed. You have to be reprogrammed. You have to throw away. I seen this meme. It was so decent, right? It was like, a lot of us are like, so focused on becoming, right? And they were like, maybe it's not so much about becoming. Maybe it's about unbecoming all the dysfunctional things that we were taught, right? Rashad, you said you talked about, like, how men matter and how that's like so important, and like even down to that thing where you'll hear and women, this is not but you'll hear it said, like, I don't need you, I don't need a man. And in all reality, men are needed, right? Men are needed. Men are very needed. And so, Rashad, I think it was last episode, you said something about a man feels important when he's respected and when he feels like he's needed, right? When he feels like he's needed. And so when men, whether if it's not in a relationship or in a marriage or whatever, but when you just feel like, don't nobody need them, where's the motivation to get right? Where's the motivation to get right and to take that proper place? Well, I'm not needed. But absolutely, like, I even think about myself. You hear the saying, a woman can't raise a man. So I have a almost 15-year-old son, right? And you hear women say, yes, I can. Yes, I can. So for me, right, I can't show my son how to be a man. I can read books, right? And I can watch other men. I can teach him how to be a decent human being. That's what I can do. But reality of the situation is, right, yeah, I can teach him how to take out the trash and do manly things, right? But there are just some things that I've never experienced because I'm not a man. I can't relate to some of the things that my son is experiencing, whether it be now or in the future. And so I'm limited as far as what I can give him. I can give him, like I said, I can read books and I can do all these things. I can try, but it's just not the same. So yeah, men are needed. Men are needed, like I said, for other young men. So y'all touched on a whole lot of things.
You said say, and it's like breaking that cycle of being reprogrammed, like coming up, right? Like, yeah, that was the cool thing, for me hearing like, oh yeah, this how you get girls, this and that. But I remember one time, in fact, when I had my first daughter, 16, and a guy from my block, like Ira or whatever, say his name because I want to be put out there, who said it to me. And he held her. She was probably like a month, not even a month, the whole month, probably some weeks. He said, right, you got this little girl now. It's precious, you can order. He said, guess what though? Then you gotta be careful how you treat females. You know what I mean? You got her. And that stuck in with my head. You know what I mean? And I thought about it as time went. And like you said, with that cycle being broke, you know what I mean? And not saying nothing wrong of the ones who was teaching that, because maybe that's all they knew. You know what I mean? But once you know better, you gotta do better. You know what I mean? Because you are held accountable. Or you know, in our religion, it says you're not held accountable until you know. That's like, all right, you don't know crossing the street is wrong. But once you told and you know, you can't say you don't know. You know what I mean? So it's like a different, way on. I mean, look on it now. Once you know, it's like, oh, I know, got to do better. And trust me, believe I'm not lying. When breaking them cycles and you start seeing the other side doing right, it feel good. It feel better to know better when you're doing better. I'm being honest. Is no better feeling. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, it's just a whole change of attitude. Is that it makes you just can't wait to do right. You know what I mean? Like being on here, you can't wait to pass back off and give it up. You know what I mean? It's like, right, there's nothing wrong with knowing, all right, it's time to break the cycle. You know what I mean? We sitting here telling you we had to do it. We're not saying we woke up and we were just like this. No, it was work. You know what I mean? And in that work is always good benefits coming out when you putting that work in. You know what I mean? It's the same as going to hit the clock and you receiving a paycheck. But when you put this work in on yourself and you getting it back, I'm being honest, like it's definitely like just the whole change. I be sitting back looking down like, oh, like, you know, I said think like this, I said think like that. Just the whole mindset is changed. Like, you know, and those who know me can see the difference. You know what I mean? Like like they can see. Like you ain't gotta say it sometimes. They see it. You know what I mean? It's like it's there. Cause and when you get to that point, I've been there when Chris was saying looking for them validations. And oh it hurt it. It hurt it. Cause they wasn't giving it to you. You know what I mean? It hurt it. But when you comfortable with yourself, you know you doing right, and you know you like it's like can't nothing you ain't looking for nothing. It ain't gonna throw you off. And trust me, I wanted to say too about that grateful. I mean, Chris was talking about it yesterday, and I'm sorry I missed the with y'all yesterday. But when you they say be careful, not be careful, or watch what you throw out to to the universe, to God, like just throw out, because once the enemy hear you be like, oh, you grateful? Okay, I'm gonna test you. God, can I test him? I guarantee you he gonna take that grateful from him. He ain't gonna stay grateful. I'm gonna test them. So when you throw it out there, be prepared. You know what I mean? For testers to come. You know what I mean? They're gonna come. Like once you throw it out there. So like enemy can't read our mind. So once we throw it out there and then you put it out there, just be prepared for the test to come. Like, you know what I mean? And yeah, like I just want to touch on that with like breaking that cycle. That's what I want to touch on, Tay.
But and real quick, to touch to go back to what I said, like about how we were told, or women or girls are told you're valuable, and so are that men need to know that too. Young boys need to know that too. Like you're valuable, you're precious, not just your body, but you as a person. Like you're valuable, you're special. They need to know that too. They need to hear that, because that's how you when you hear things like that, that they call positive I can't think of the word right now, reinforcement, but even with the grade, you know what I mean? In our environment, we talked about that last night. Like environment is so key. Like that growing environment, right? That environment as you're growing, right? When you're a young woman, a young man, right? Because that's going to determine how you grow up, right? And so just even how we handled them. I think it was you, Rashad, that I think it was last time you was no, I'm sorry, it was Christian. He's learning how to like, speak to his children and allow them to have a voice and things like that, because we were taught, pretty much in so many words, because you're a kid, you don't have an opinion. You know what I mean? And that's not true. They're no different from us, except the fact that the age different, right? They experience everything we experience in the world. Because I remember being told, what problems could you have? All you got to do is go to school. You don't got no bills to pay. Like what could be wrong with you? And it's like kids again, like seriously, no, we were told stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like they don't go through it emotionally. It's like they don't go through it mentally. You know, my son can not like something that I do, that I say, and I allow him in that respectful way, because it was, if you hadn't, like I said, if you said something back, or it was just, you know, you don't talk back, you don't say, I allow him, like there's a positive way to express yourself. You're allowed to tell me when, because I might have been wrong. Just because I'm a grown up doesn't mean I'm always right. It doesn't mean I'm always right. You know what I mean? So just for young boys and men, even though you're all grown up, to know that you're valuable, you're precious too. Like,
Man,
yes.
yeah.
Oh, we have a few comments real quick. So we have one, exactly. So it says, yes, hello, y'all. Growing up, my dad was the man of the house. He was the provider and the protector. And my late husband was also the man of the house. So that comment made me think about, when I read it a little while ago, how family looked different back then, right? It looked different when I watched my mom and my pop than what I, for the most part, what I see now. Not that there are not amazing, awesome men out there. Not that there are not amazing, awesome marriages and family structures, because there is, like that is, like, that's first and foremost. But like she's saying, like that's what happened years and years and years ago. You know what I mean? Like that's what you saw. Like you saw your pop being the man in the house. You saw your dad, if you're a certain age, being the man of the house. You know what I mean? And we know that probably goes back to, again, what did they see? What they were shown. You know what I mean? So it's definitely key. Somebody else said men are needed to show their sons how to be men, and their daughter how a man should treat them.
So true.
That's
So
from
true.
Deanna.
Somebody said, be prepared for the test to come. That's good, they said.
And I was thinking of that comment too, Rashai, how you said that, be prepared for the test to come. Because when we look at those tests that come into our lives, your automatic response is to feel defeated. When the key to faith is knowing that you're going to come up to obstacles. They're going to come our way. But the Lord tells us to take charge because he has overcome. So everything that we go through, we have to just look through him in faith, which also reminds me of what the enemy meant for evil, God turns for good. So we just have to keep on looking at him in every circumstance that we go to. Just keep on praying through it, and he'll make a way for you to be able to succeed through it. Because otherwise, if you don't have some kind of faith that you're praying to the Lord, then you're going to be stuck in a downfall. You're going to be stuck in sin because you're not looking forward to the goodness that he can provide to you.
Do that. And you just said, and I, what I got off that, May, I like what you just said, because the way I look at it, like you said, be prepared. We just on that, like every test that, whatever that we go through, the Lord give us nothing to go to push us away. He always give us something to keep us connected to him. If you look at it for real, even with the test, like, you know, turn to me, I got you.
Well,
You know
he
what?
is the vine and we are the branches. That's why we're connected to him, so that anything that's dead, those dead vines will fall off and you'll go to a whole other level. You just have to remain in him because he remains in us. But that's what you have to keep on doing. Keep yourself watered, keep yourself around like-minded people so that you'll continue growing. Sometimes you have to step away from people who aren't helping you grow in your season. And it's not a bad thing necessarily, but it's just you can be on a different level than where they are. And sometimes you just have to fall back from that so that you can grow and you can mature in your faith.
Yeah.
It's funny because somebody just sent me this morning Psalms 34:19. It says, the righteous person faces many troubles, but the Lord comes to rescue them each time. And so going back to that testing, you know, there's that saying, right? Like, oh, the devil never sleeps. And I never forgot, I just heard one time, like, somebody said that. I'm like, yo, I don't care that the devil is always busy, because I serve the God that don't ever sleep. So I don't care. I'm not about to be made. Remember, it was yesterday, flash flood prayer. May's pastor, he said what you focus on is very important, right? So if you're focusing on, everything that's wrong, everything that's going bad, whatever, then that's where you're going to be. You're going to be downhearted. You're going to be stressed out. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be anxious. You're going to be those things. And it's not saying, oh, this, be fake and act like those things aren't going on. But like we were saying last night, it's always something to be grateful for. So he said, so that's when you focus on those things. Okay, forget what's going right. Like, what is going right? I mean, forget what's going wrong. What's going right? I'm blessed. I got a roof over my head. I'm alive. And it's the cool thing about it. Like, if you're alive, guess what? Then that's a chance for it to get better. You know what I mean? Like, if you're alive, there's still hope. You know what I mean? And I think about how, Jesus tells us, in this world you will experience many troubles, but I have take heart because I've overcome the world. So like just knowing that, like you said, Rashad, like and May, pretty much like not getting, just being real, right? Just being real, not saying that you're not going to feel some type of way about it, not saying that, but not allowing it to consume you. I think that's the key. Not allowing it to consume you, and knowing that, like, man, listen, because God feels the way that he feels about me, and because I know that he's for me and not against me, if this thing made it to me, then he allowed it, because God is bigger than anything. So nothing gets through him, nothing jumped over him. If it made it to me, he allowed it. So that means that he must going to get me through this. I'm not just going to be going through this by myself. Like, I've become, like, we've all probably heard Psalm 23. Like, I've fallen in love with it. And it's so funny about the word of God, right? Because you can hear something, but you hear that one time and it just hits so differently, because like that walking through the valley of the shadow of death, I'm like, if you like visually see that, but it's like, but his rod and his staff, it comforts me. And it's like, when you think about that, that's so deep. That's like, and so if we just focus, remember that in any and every situation, like, I'm gonna be all right. Like, I think that's the game changer for when we going through something.
Yeah, one thing I like to always take faith in is, God has never put me in a situation that I wasn't able to overcome, nor do I think he ever will, right? And just something that simplistic brings me so much comfort, so much personal comfort. So even when things are going rough and they seem, because we're always in situations where something seems overwhelming and like, oh, how am I going to get through this? But when I can just kind of, ground myself again and just think on that, meditate on that. Like, God has never put me in a situation that I wasn't able to overcome. And not only did I overcome it, but I grew so much as an individual. I became so much stronger in this category, this situation. Right. So when things are difficult for me, I always try to bring myself back to that simplistic term. You know what I mean? There's everything that I'm going through now is going to benefit me on the other side of this. Right. And that's why I like to be, I've practiced gratitude so much that I like to be grateful even when the things are really going bad. And it's not easy. I'm not saying that it's easy, because when things are looking, and when they're, especially exactly when they're happening, it seems discouraging, right? You don't know how it's going to happen, but and people that I've worked with can vouch for this. I say, literally be grateful for what's happening right now, because the growth that you're going to get once this is over with is going to be priceless. You're going to grow so much as an individual, where you're going to learn so many new things about this said situation, just yourself in general. You're just going to be that much of a better person. So practice the gratitude now, and also have the faith that this isn't anything that you're not going to be able to overcome. And with those two things, you're able to approach difficult situations with much more confidence, and the ability to overcome it and gather as much information out of it, and realize at that point that life is happening to you, or life is happening for you and not to you. So you can just gather these things together. And Rashad, I can't let this go by without saying something, man. You touched on it. Expect those difficulties and those scenarios to come, right? When you expect it, listen, especially with uncomfortable action or the self-doubt or whatever that case is, when you expect those feelings to come and you've prepared yourself mentally for those situations, when they come, you're able to laugh at it, or you're able to approach it with way more confidence than allowing it just to spring up on you, and you act surprised about it, like you didn't know it was coming. You thought it was just going to be an easy ride, right? But a lot of us, we go through life and we approach things that way. But when we can actually expect it and know that something is going to pop up, so that way when it does, you can say, okay, I was waiting for this exact moment, and now I actually have some reactions, that are educated rather than just immediate reactions, right? Because reacting to something immediately, you're not prepared, right? But if you're prepared for this uncomfortableness, or you're prepared for the situation that you don't want to happen, or whatever the case may be, now you at least have some moves to tackle the situation with.
And that's very true. That's sort of like what Dennis and I were talking about before we got on, about the situation with the whole job thing. And what I was saying is, usually when something like that happens, God, he always has something greater in store for you.
Oh,
so
yeah.
like what Mr. D Best was saying earlier about the energy and the flow, what I got from that, that's like a divine appointment, because sometimes when you're put into certain situations where the flow isn't going the way that you expected it to go, he always has another opportunity, and he will bless you in abundance for what you're going through. As long as you're obedient and you're faithful to him, he'll get you through that so that you'll be taken to that next level. So like you were saying, Chris, how the blessings out there for you, basically, it's just you have to remain faithful to God during the process of it. Because right now it might look like you're in that pit and you're stuck down there. But when you're continuously walking with him and you're prayerful through it all, he will make a way for you regardless of what your circumstances may be.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Dan.
Hey, check this out, right? So we've heard that there's a reason, a season, and a lifetime, right? In a season, that means short term. I recently heard too, don't waste energy in a place you'll leave shortly. Which means, like, there's going to be circumstances that's a season. No need to get caught up with, man, you how can I try to put all this effort into trying to fix? Man, listen, some things is going to be what it's going to be. It's going to pass. Keep it pushing, because there's something bigger ahead. You know what I mean? Mistakes is going to happen, and we can't get so caught up on the molehills and make it a mountain. So like, we don't need to put that energy into like trying to turn back around and try to fix that. Like, learn from that and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
You definitely have to move forward regardless of what your circumstances are. But the thing is like you were saying earlier when you were referring to the prodigal son, when you hit that fork that's in the road, because we tend to try and do things within our own way. And that's what the prodigal son did. But when we know that God's way is greater than what our ways are, that's where it comes in, where you receive those blessings, because you're walking in the righteous way, the righteous path that he has set forth for you, because that's what you need to do. But a lot of people don't have that strong will to be able to make that right choice. So it's just like, if you get stuck in that path where it's like, okay, I'm going to keep on doing it my way. Like I was saying when we first started, if you feel that you're too far gone, that's what tends to happen, because you're like, okay, I already did this right here, I might as well just continue down that path. But there's always a way for you to repent of your sins, because that's what the Lord wants us to do. When we repent of our sins, he welcomes us with open arms, just like you opened up the story with the prodigal son with it all. And that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Aunt May, I hear you.
Yeah. I mean, you touched on something perfect. Like when people, when you get caught up in doing wrong or whatever, or something that's not serving you, we'll just use that term, and you want to change, but change is always uncomfortable, right? Change is it's uncomfortable because it's change. You never done it before. So, neurologically, your brain just isn't used to doing what it is that you're trying to do. And naturally, it's trying to slip back into things that are comfortable, you know, because that's a lot easier, you know, and it doesn't give you that uncomfortability. It gives you the opposite. It gives you comfortability. The things that you're used to doing, they give you comfortability. But then you have that famous quote that, you know, trying to do the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result is just another definition of insanity, right? So the change that you want to make, it's going to be uncomfortable. I don't want anybody that's watching this to think that that's something, oh, you can just change and it's simple as that. No, it's absolutely not as simple as that. You know, anyone that goes down this path knows that it's difficult. And that goes back to earlier. I think it was Tay that was mentioned, like you're brought up, the way that you're brought up in those development years are the most crucial point in your development because you get things ingrained into your subconscious, you know, and it's, I like to call them limiting beliefs. There's so many limiting beliefs that you gather as a child that you carry out through the rest of your life. And you just subconsciously react to certain things without even realizing it, which is why it's subconscious is just another term for your unconscious mind. It's the things that drive the decisions that you make consciously, right? Your subconscious mind derives the decisions that you make consciously. So those things are all distilled in you at an early age, and there's a lot of limiting beliefs, and it will hold you back. And to try to break those, which is, I go through this with the people that I coach, you know, it's a process. It's absolutely a process, but there's the accumulation effect where, and Rashad, you'll be familiar with this, where if I can just get someone to make a 1% change every day with whatever it is and whatever category that may be, simply 1%. So that can be something as small as, you know, you weren't watching a motivational video that's 5 minutes long. You start to watch that one day, right? You wake up tomorrow, you watch the video. So that would constitute as a 1% change, right? So here's where it gets interesting is if you get a 1% change, something as small as watching a couple minute video, you do something like that every day for 365 days, which is a year. That's a 365% change that you will have accomplished in just 1 year's time. Now look at the accumulation in that. One day, it doesn't seem like much, right? Oh, I watched a little 5-minute video, oh, blah, 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 right? There's nothing really tangible that you're seeing. But now you fast forward that 6 months, right? You fast forward that a year, and now you've already elevated the person that you were 3.5 times over within 1 year, right? So that's why it's just a small step, and that way it doesn't seem so uncomfortable, and you can accomplish a lot of the change that you want. There's a term called kanai, and it's constant and never-ending improvement. That's what we always have to live by. There's absolutely no cap on the person that you should want to be. There should never be a goal is, oh, you know what, I want to be this person, right? Because the day that you hit that and you plateau and you're no longer making any change, you're going to find yourself right back at the bottom of that plateau because you always need to, there should never be a cap on it. We should always constant and never ending improvement.
That's very good, Chris. And we do have a comment here from Pamela that says, when you're comfortable, you're not growing. And that's completely true. Like you were just saying, change is uncomfortable. But what I want to say to that is with God, all things are possible. So even the most hardened heart can be transformed. Once we let him into our lives and allow him to work through us, no matter who you are, what lifestyle that you have, you can be changed.
Yeah.
Chris, when you first said it like when you go through stuff, it usually makes you stronger, right? So it made me think about Romans 5:3-4. It says we can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance, and endurance develops strength of character, and character strengthens salvation. So like even that, like so even I've learned perspective is a game changer, right? No matter what it is, how I look at whatever it is going to determine how I feel, how I go through it, or whether it's going to consume me, whether it's going to take me out, or whether I overcome it. And so if we look at it with that attitude, like, you know what, like, no, I don't like it. No, it doesn't feel good, but like, I know I'm coming out of this better. So let's have it, God. Come on, let's do it. You know what I mean? So it definitely, and I love the fact that you was like, you touched on how like being realistic about like how change doesn't happen overnight. Like it's a process. Like even the word of God tells us like he's forever going to be working on us forever. Like it's not going to be complete until Jesus comes back. So like we're continually, and I think like Rashad and Dennis like had touched on like being never thinking, always being teachable, right? And Rashad, you said something about how like pride and stuff gets in the way. Like even nobody knows everything. And think about the world we live in, right? So even stuff I left, right? And so I went to school so many years ago, but things are constantly advancing, right? Constantly advancing in whatever industry, whatever world, right? And so I'm always capable of learning. You have to be open to it though. So real quick, y'all, sorry, pause. But hey, hey to me, May's mom. It's not really my mom, but it's me's mom. It's May's, it's May's mom. But hey, Mama Selena. But she said, she has a comment. She says, I really like what Christopher said. I have always been told that whatever God allows in your life, He will give you the grace to go through it, grow from it, and help someone else. Exactly. There's purpose behind everything. I've heard this saying, God don't waste anything. So like going back to what you said, Rashad, like and what we all kind of reiterated, like if He allows it, that means He's going to use it, and it makes me think about like it's going to work out for my good and His glory. So
Right.
yeah, so
I like the
Just, oh, good.
quick. No, go ahead, bro.
Real fast. I want to touch on what Jate was reading from Romans, and I wanted to read something. It says in Romans 5:4 and 5:5, it says and endurance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit, and who has been given to us. Also, when we are taught the right, correct information, and we're taking the right direction, that information, when we apply it, then that causes transformation in our lives. You know, so I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, application of information is crucial. You can read all the books in the world, but if you don't apply anything that you learn, what's the point? Right? You need to apply what you learn. There's plenty of people that do a lot of reading and say, "Oh, yeah, I read that book," or I'm educated on that topic, but you don't see any change because they're not applying anything. You know, application is, and that's where that ties back into the uncomfortable action. Application to learn something new, especially in the day and age that we live in now. Everybody expects to be, for whatever reason, expect to be very good at something that they're just learning. And if they're not, then it's like, oh, this is stupid, and they don't want to do it anymore, right? But I love to tell the people that I work with, it's like, when did learning become not cool anymore, right? Because failure is only failure if you don't learn from it, or if you quit, then you can constitute it as failure. But when you're trying new things, or you're trying to become a better person, there's going to be hiccups. There's going to be things that you're not going to get it right away. And as long as you learn from, okay, that didn't work, let me try this, and you continue to do it, what that's called the scientific method. You try something until it works. It's been that way forever. So unless you continue to try something and you don't alter it, and you're just doing, again, the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, and then you can constitute it as failure. But in the meantime, it's learning, And I just want to go back before I pass it off, is another thing, when I was commenting on how God will never put you in a situation, or there's no wasted time. One of you mentioned that, right? There is no wasted time, and you can always help somebody else, because the life that I lived before I'm at where I am now is obviously the reason I am where I'm at now. I'm able to help individuals, and I wouldn't be able to help them as deeply as I'm able to if I didn't go through the struggle that I went through in my life. If I wasn't homeless, if I wasn't addicted to drugs, if I didn't grow up in a broken household, the list can go on, right? And at that time, did all those things seem impossible to overcome? When I was 30 years old and sleeping on a park bench, did I ever think I was going to get out of that, addicted to drugs? No, I didn't, right? And I cursed the Lord. I'll be honest with everybody. I cursed everything. It was everybody else's fault. other than my own, right? And that's an internal struggle that a lot of the clients that I've worked with of mine, they have that internal struggle also. It seems to be everyone else's fault, but never once do I ever hear them mention themselves, right? And what their part that they had to play in it.
Yeah.
And that's what it boils down to in the end when it comes to marriage counseling, relationship counseling, getting better mentally, whatever field you want to get good at, it starts in here. You have to do it in here. You need to better yourself. You need to start to be honest with yourself, and that sounds simplistic enough, right? But it's not. You don't want to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I need to better myself here and here. This is what you're actually currently doing right now that's holding you back. And if you look at a lot of situations that you want to better, especially when it comes to self-development, if you look at it deep enough and see your role in it, you'll understand that it can actually be changed. We have the power to change almost everything in our lives, and it goes down to unwavering faith, and the want to actually do it. Because want is thinking that you want to do something, and actually wanting to do something is two completely different things.
Wow.
Say, Tay said something, and Chris, both of y'all said something. That I gotta make sure before we wrap up. I gotta say this. She said remain teachable. A guy said that to me named Rob I met before 2 years ago. Like, yeah, going on three. He said, Rashad, always remain teachable, always. And with that there is like I go back to what far as with when the religion they say you will never get it. It's always a lifetime learning. So it's basically you always gonna be on that road to learning. You never would get anything. You know what I mean? And Chris, you said something that was deep. Like you wouldn't even be able if you didn't go through what you went through. And I can relate. Went through what you went through. You wouldn't be able to be sitting up here saying what it is. Like I
Mm-hmm.
I always like to say is I got it from one of my Lord brothers, Troy. Is power and pain. You know what I mean? You took that pain, put the power and flipped it. You know what I mean? It's power and pain. So like and the pain that anyone going through, like I still had tests come through pain, but it's power in it when it's over. You look
Mm-hmm.
at it, yo, put me in for they say the saying he don't give you no more than you can handle. He's not gonna give us nothing. We creators, what we said the other day. So when you
Yep.
when you get certain things, right, Chris, you say he not perfect. He didn't know what he was doing. We cursing him
Right.
back of, you know what I mean? Well, we
Mm-hmm.
cursing him that fast, like
Mm-hmm.
and, it's definitely like yeah, that remain teachable, like you know what I mean. That's deep in that power and pain, like flip it, because right now I know we sitting up here and they can really agree with me, like this the power and that pain we went through that we sitting up here and be able to tell you sitting here, you know what I mean? Grateful, happy, you know what I mean? To be up here on y'all podcast, Miss May and Tay. That's we
Mm-hmm.
flip that pain. You know what I mean? I felt that pain. I've been there, Chris. We talk. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We share that right there, same streets. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
talk about that. Being on them same streets, and I know Dennis vouch relate with that too. You know what I mean? We didn't open up on certain things, Dennis. You know what I mean? But I know you know what we talking about. You know what I mean? Like that pain. And now it's power. 'Cause we can sit back and be like more humble with it, relaxing with it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah. We turn that mess into a message, man. That mess turns into a message, bro. And we went through it so that we can help the next person or the next group of people that are going through it. Right? That's my mission is to try to help people where they're at because I've been there. And as simple as that, man. It's more love that needs to be in the world, man. Way more love.
Right, right, right. That love.
Absolutely.
I like what you were saying, Rashai,
Absolutely.
about the remain teachable, because like what you were saying as far as with the religion, there is always something to learn, because when we actually read the word, it actually reads us. So as you're looking into the word, it's going to read you. And that's why when you go back and you can read the same scripture time after time after time, it may have a different meaning each time that you go into it. But that's
Mm-hmm.
because it's alive and active. And
Yeah.
that's why we have to stay in it, because you're not going to understand it, because it wasn't meant for us to understand, but we're here but for a season. So we just have to keep on spreading that gospel to those who are within this world, so that we can just get everybody saved. Just like you were saying, you want everybody to be saved. That's what we need to do. Be
Right.
fishers for men.
Wow, that was deep.
Definitely, definitely. You have anything else that you needed to add to your prodigal son?
Let's just fix our crown.
Absolutely. Any closing remarks you got there, Chris? We appreciate you stepping on here with us tonight and being
Ah,
vulnerable
man.
with some of your story that you shared with us.
Thank you. I am so happy that you guys let me come on to this. I'm feeling really grateful and really blessed to be a part of this. Thank you, Rashad. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, May. Thank you, Tay. I love doing this. You know, this is something I really just have a true passion for. So anytime I can link up with anybody else that's on the same path as me that wants to just spread the good message and to try to listen, we're just trying to make the world a better place any way that we can, right? I don't
Yes,
intend
sir.
to drastically change the planet or anything. You know, I want to be realistic about it. But listen, if I can make it a little bit better than it was when I was here, then that's all that matters, right? And that's all I intend to do. I just want to help people and let them live some a joyous life. You know, simple as that. But thank you guys very much.
Thank
Absolutely.
you,
And some of
Chris.
your story that you said, it can change somebody else's life. So we truly
Hmm.
appreciate you stepping out there and saying
Of
some of the
course,
things that you did say. So it's truly appreciative.
of course.
What you have for us, Rashai?
Um, I'd like to say also thank you to, Miss Tay, Miss May, from y'all having me. Thank you, Chris, from introducing me to Miss May, Miss Tay, and also thank you, Chris, from coming along when I asked you to come aboard. You said no problem, Rashad. You need me, I'm there. And it's what it's about. Like, you know what I mean? We
Yeah,
for that love. And I'm looking forward to coming back, us doing something again. Like, you know what I mean? We just keep it going. I'm really looking forward to coming back. Thanks again for having me, y'all. I love, like he said, I love doing this. Y'all know I always say the same thing, like for real,
yeah,
like you know what I mean. My soul, I mean, that's my calling. I wouldn't have it no other way.
yeah.
No doubt.
Well, it's
Yeah.
always so nice to get everybody's feedback and hearing your different point of view from a man's perspective. Because, like Tay said, we can't give it, so we leave it up to you guys to do it, and we'll continue to keep on bringing you back because there's always something that you can bring to the table for everybody else to be able to hear. And it's always good to have both sides. And from a woman's perspective, we're taking it in. We're over here taking notes, and I'm sure our viewers are as well. So we just thank you for coming on here, everybody. We thank you to our viewers. I'm going to leave it over to my sis in case if she needs anything that she has to say.
Of course, as always, thank you guys again. Like she said, we said from the beginning, like, I mean, we could have done it matter, but like, how much would it have mattered? I appreciate y'all. And y'all, if y'all have been enjoying this, we made like the executive decision, right, to just go ahead and close out the year. So we're going to have the fellas here with us until the end of the year. So far, that's as of now. Like, who knows? It may just trickle on into 2023, but for sure, y'all gonna see them at least one more time. Um, Look, I'm trying to worry these last two comments before we go. Oh, somebody said, God bless you all. I will definitely be lifting you up in prayer. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Um, the other one, absolutely awesome Bible study / talk. Blessings to all of you. Be blessed, ladies. Thank you.
Mm.
So y'all, right? Fellas, I don't may have we done Gym of the Week since with the guys?
No,
No.
we have not. I
Okay,
hope you have something good picked out.
I do. Oh, Rashai, look, I was supposed to tell you this off camera, but that's okay, because there are family as well, the viewers, right? But when we stick around. Once I announce, so viewers, if this is not your first time, you know that we do our Kingdom Jam of the Week. That's how we close out the show. Um, and we got one here for y'all. We've been skipping it for the last couple of shows, but I felt that it very appropriate, like that we do one tonight, and it's actually called Hope. and it's from The Truth, featuring a couple amazing Christian rap artists, and y'all gonna be wanting to sing our playlist, right? So after the show, we're gonna, one of us, because I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I say this and I very rarely remember that day, but I'm going to also put it on the page so y'all can know exactly what it is. But yeah, again, thank you, fellas. We appreciate y'all. Chris, this
Hold
is your
on.
first. Mhm.
So I'm not going to be singing to take this out?
We're gonna get you your mic.
Yeah, when we get the mic. Oh my goodness. So as y'all can see, Dennis is not just, a speaker, he's a comedian as well. So but thank y'all again. Thank y'all for tuning in, all the viewers. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We pray that you have a amazingly blessed weekend. And Lord willing, we will be back. Oh, Meg. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. So guys, we usually to the viewers, we usually run every other week, but to close out the year with a bang, we actually are going to be doing 3 in a row. So we will be here. Me and May and I will be here with you next week with an amazing panel of women, right? Who are also authors. And then the following Friday, our guys will be back here with us. So yeah, we are about to jump into this Kingdom Jam of the week. Fellas, stay backstage. Stay backstage. Don't click off. Just hold tight.
Everybody in the building, everybody got a hand in the air. Everybody in the building, everybody got a hand in the air. Everybody in the building, everybody got a hand in the air. Everybody in the building, everybody got a. We all want it, yeah. We all need it. We all want it, yeah. We all need it. We all want it, yeah. We all need it. We all want it, yeah. We all just talk. We all gon' feel the cares of this life, but we got that hope. We all gon' feel the pressure, but know that we got that hope. In case you feel defeated, in Jesus we got that hope. In Jesus we got that hope. In Jesus we got that hope. We all gon' feel the cares of this life, but we got that hope. We all gon' feel the pressure, but know that we got that hope. In case you feel defeated, in Jesus we got that hope. In Jesus we got that hope. In Jesus we got that hope. Blue collar, white collar, black professors, white scholars, politicians, Dalai Lamas. Everybody in the whole wide world need hope if I be honest. I'm in that number, but since he saved me, I'ma survive. I promise to God, my dude, I would go crazy, and I would go nuts, and I would go numb, broken down to the lowest crumb. But I've been in that pit before, and they call me crazy. But I got that life, and I got that strength. In the midnight, when the light goes dim, it's like a begin. Go. We all want it, yeah. We all need it, we all want it, yeah. We all need it, we all want it, yeah. We all need it, we all want it, yeah. We all, let's go. We all gon' feel the cares of this life, but we got that hope. We all gon' feel the pressure, but know that we got that hope. In case you feel defeated, in Jesus we got that hope. In Jesus we got that hope. In Jesus we got that hope. Drug dealers, meth addicts, single mamas, baby daddies, college students working hard but they bout to lose. So here we come to bring them the truth. The good news, but they think we still bad, we got it back. hope, more work than a pot of doubt. So much work that we gotta got. A hope like this, they gotta know. And man, I gotta mention that they get them in the freedom. A man, they really beat them when they put them on a criminal. And get resurrected because they really didn't defeat them. And now when you accept it, you ain't no longer criminal. Have to break it down, give it to them on a 5. Then we break it down, give it to them on a 4. Tell them what we got on 3, 2, 1, 0. Yeah. We all want it, yeah. We all need it all. We all want it, yeah. We all need it all. We all want it, yeah. We all need it all. We all want it, yeah. We all, let's go. We all gon' feel the cancer, it's like but we got that hope. We all gon' feel the pressure, but know that we got that hope. In case you feel defeated, Jesus, we got that hope. Jesus, we got that hope. Jesus, we got that hope. Cold killers, gold diggers, dope dealers, hustling, grinding, gold getters. Hold up, if you looking for peace, you might wanna roll with us. Hold up, it's broke in the streets where we going, so hope sinners. Homie, we come with a joy. Open my eyes and he open your boy. Took out my heart, that was focused on down. Open some doors and loaded your boy. Put in that truth in your know we employ. Work up in him and we won't be destroyed. He's building us up and filling us up with pieces and passes unloaded for joy. Look at me, you can't hurt me. My God never desert me. My heart is scrapped, but I'm good though. Cause I got hope like I should, bro. Yes, sir. We all want it, yeah. We all need it all. We all want it, yeah. We all need it all. We all want it, yeah. We all need it all. We all want it, yeah. We all, we all gon' feel the cancer, it's like but we got that hope. We all gon' feel the pressure, but know that we got that hope. In case you feel defeated, in Jesus we got that hope. In Jesus we got that hope. In Jesus we got that hope.